I've long thought that Dunkey is the only voice in video games equal to Tim Rogers. They take diametrically opposed approaches to their shared subject. Tim errs on the side of verbosity and conspicuous intelligence. Dunkey on the side of satirical simplicity, pushed to its logical limit. Dunkey's position calls to mind the position of classic hermits, or sages, that the true end of intelligence is wisdom, and wisdom is anti-intelligence, anti-elitist. Wisdom mocks intelligence. Wisdom is simplicity. The smartest person on earth knows that he knows nothing, and Socrates proceeds through his dialogues pretending to be a fool. Intelligence isn't something we can hold on to. In fact, to briefly quote Tim Rogers in his review of Boku no Natsuyasumi, we are, deep down, nothing more or less than animals, despite the deceptive appearance of sophistication, language, philosophy. Here, he's describing how this fact makes itself known at the imagined moment of death.
In the end, everybody is an animal. In the end, reality breaks the wall between human and animal. Your memory will shut off far before the impact, long before the pain. Not even a person anymore. You float like an animal, aware only of the proximity or not of your necessaries or loves. Maybe bored that you don't have a plate of food in front of you to eat while you sit uncomfortable in that uncomfortable chair. That notion has stuck with me a long time because, my God, everything has stuck with me for so long a time. On exceedingly rare occasions, a memory of childhood from before I started learning words floats across the bridge and finds me in darkness, and in there I feel I was an animal then. Behind all this, I'm an animal now. And someday, some grim situation or another will, with its claws, steal from me my humanity and leave me for a moment in philosophy a shattering animal.
Leaving aside for a second the question of who's the best critic, Tim or Dunkey, I personally think they both together constitute the non-existent best critic. I want to begin my discussion of Animal Well by noting that Dunkey has established and nurtured his critical reputation by, as you can tell by his name, emphasizing this same fact. That deep down, despite all appearances and pretensions, deep down, we're all animals. And it's our animal instincts, those things we can't control, that tell us most about ourselves. Laughter is simple and true. If a game is funny, it's good. Frustration is simple and true. If a game is frustrating for no reason, it's bad. Dunkey's entire critical argument seems to be, trust your reptilian brain, trust the wise mysteries behind what seem to just be animal simplicities, trust that there is depth to the seemingly superficial animal surfaces of life. Of course, Billy Basso is the creator of Animal Well, and it'd be absurd to argue that Animal Well is truly or entirely or even mainly, let alone mostly, a reflection of Dunkey's aesthetic or critical philosophy. Obviously, it's not Dunkey's game, literally. That said, it can't go without saying that this is Dunkey's first ever published game, and as such, it stands irrefutably as a statement. It stands as a skeleton key, a meaningful gesture that unlocks everything else Dunkey would like to do in the video game world. In addition to being the life work of the exceedingly talented and committed Billy Basso, Animal Well is also the cri de coeur of Dunkey, who stands at the precipice of translating a life of video game reviewing into a second life of video game publishing. In many ways, publishers are as creative as the people they publish, and to publish is just as brave a decision as the decision to develop or write. Roberto Calasso, the famous Italian publisher of Adelphi Editions, which published some of the greatest European writers of the 20th century, once said that he considered the full list of books he published to constitute a separate, enormous book of its own. A publisher tells his own story, makes clear his own values, makes clear what he'd like to pass along to his readers, his players, his customers, in what he chooses to publish. It's for this reason that I feel justified in taking a look at what Animal Well might say about Dunkey, and how the dream of Animal Well reveals something about Dunkey's broader project, and is, in its way, the playable version of Dunkey's criticism. I'd also note that this investigation is relevant to my broader comparative look at Dunkey and Tim Rogers. the latter of whom is also someone who puts out games of his own making, and explicitly sees his critical work as tied to and, in terms of cash flow, literally generating his published games. What's an animal? Among other things, it's another living thing exerting a will of its own that occasionally threatens but most often concerns or amuses us. We learn how to deal with dangerous animals in the wild. Hint, make yourself seem taller than you are. Be very quiet or very loud, depending on the beast in question. We look up cute animal videos online. We look at how they interact with each other and draw sloppy parallels between their communities and our societies. Look, we think, we're not so different. My family is like that ant colony. My office is like that lion pack, etc. We use animals as sentient mirrors, reflecting us just wrongly enough for us to learn something about ourselves as we learned about them. We use pets in this way too, and sometimes as mock children, repositories for worry or affection. And of course, children themselves are often wonky mirrors of ourselves. But at the simplest level, animals are living creatures without language, barring certain sign language users among mammals. I mean, animals live according to a certain observable logic, of course, like us, avoiding pain, chasing pleasure, but they can't communicate with us in our language most of the time. They sort of learn our language, commands, names, and we sort of learn their language, growls, hisses, purrs. But mostly, they remain always just a bit obscured, and the veil of lacking language provides them a mystery that seems like significance or depth. We don't always quite know what they're thinking, though we like to guess. Animals are a puzzle to us, a puzzle we like to try to solve, though we happily can't, and their silence leaves them always so simple as to never come into super sharp focus. They remain, to us, pixelated, simple to the point of style. Animal Well is a beguiling Metroidvania, in which you are an unidentifiable creature, circular, simple, blob-like, left to navigate a complicated labyrinth of well chambers, dropping down holes, climbing ladders, and alternately taking advantage of, avoiding, guilefully defeating, or just hanging out with identifiable creatures. Dogs, iguanas, chinchillas, whales, birds, porcupines, rabbits, squirrels, kangaroos, and so on. There are also ghosts and a horrible human-like final boss who shoots lasers from his eyes. You have no weapons, but you do have tools. Tools which are often toys. A frisbee, a yo-yo, a bubble wand, a flute. There are other more advanced toys you'll get in the postgame, but I'll keep the discussion here limited to the base game. You can use these toys as tools to variously distract and undo those predators who'd make you their prey. Already, here, a principle is revealed. Dumb fun is wisdom when deployed for survival's sake. It's worth noting that this is a puzzle-laden Metroidvania, which means at least two things. It encourages you to reconsider the unknown utility of things and circumstances you might take for granted, and it depends on the fact that to revisit something is to renew your relationship to it. You go through many of these screens time after time, but ideally, it should never feel like the same exact screen twice, because each time you're in it, you might see something new, or have something new to make use of. Animal Well understands animals, which is no small feat. Animal Well understands animals the same way Underworld understands video games. Both accentuate the whimsy of their subject, the absurd joy of a pure quack, a whoopee cushion. And yet, both avoid sentimentality, and simultaneously accentuate the dark danger of their subject, the mindless binary pursuit of death. That's the undercurrent both of the animal world, think of the dumb protrusion of the iguana's tongue, and the stat-hungry, fictionally murderous gamer. Because it can scare you, or shock you, or charm you, or delight you in equal measure, Animal Well succeeds in providing us what contact with the actual animal world provides us. The cathartic realization that an animal life, one devoted to immediate demands, visceral responses, the languageless logic of a dream, this absurd, indefensible life, this animal life, is deep. It's worth living. It's a great place in which to hang out. Dunkey's videos are also, among other things, places where people hang out. So much of his success has been built on the notion that to be a Dunkey fan is to share in his shorthand. Knack, Knack 2, Knack HD, Bookworm Adventures Deluxe, Spaghetti and Meatballs, Donkey Kong December, and so on. Part of the pleasure of watching one of his videos is scrolling through the comments and seeing people try to be funny like him, to say things he said, or to say things in a way like he says them. And of course, almost anyone can make a meme, and it's not the mimetic quality of the dunkey comments that evidences Dunkey's unique contribution to the field of video game criticism. Rather, the iterative, nearly viral quality of Dunkey's rhetoric is the smoking gun. Dunkey speaks in a way that nearly anybody could speak. His criticism has the quality of one of my favorite things, abstract expressionism: audacious simplicity. Once Dunkey says something, it's obvious why it's funny and true, and anybody could have said it. There's no barrier to entry in Dunkey's work. He's not shuttling between many different languages or alluding to works with which most people wouldn't be familiar, although, as evidenced in his movie recommendation video, he's extremely cultured and has refined taste. With Dunkey, he's saying something in a way where anyone could have said it, but of course, anyone didn't say it. Dunkey did. His method of looking at games, looking at the world, is audaciously vulgar. Vulgar in the linguistic sense. It's everyday speech, it's accessible, shareable, memeable. It's audaciously clear, simple, true. And because it's so simple, anyone can adopt it. Anyone can jump in and try to speak like Dunkey in the hope of thinking like him too. This is not dissimilar from the way in which Animal Well is designed. As Billy Basso said in the game's release announcement, it's designed in such a way that anyone can jump in and beat the game. And if you want to go deeper, you can. It's up to you. Much like how you can take Dunkey at face value if you'd like and just laugh and find him funny. But if you'd like, you can also dive deeper into what he's doing and find the interlaced layers beneath the seemingly clear surface. The last tool you find in the normal game is the lantern, which is very useful. Throughout the game, you'll find that your main antagonist isn't one animal, not the kangaroo or bat or iguana, but darkness. Darkness structures each screen, hiding vital passageways from view, necessitating experimentation. On a more immediate level, dark screens can often house malevolent ghosts who can one-shot you if they make contact. Your only hope is to use a firecracker before they reach you. They dissolve in the face of that toy's colorful bursts of brightness. And, more ambiguously, many little faced dots constitute a sort of environmental hazard, little orbs of darkness, presumably lost souls. There's almost no way to get through them, until you find the lantern. The lantern not only lights your way, literally, but it also dispatches the darkness that seems out to get you, the ghost on your case, the orbs of evil blocking your way forward. If darkness is the antagonist, light is the hero. And, of course, here's where another principle reveals itself. Often merely conflated with goodness, a la Star Wars, light also means frivolity, superficiality, simplicity, something being light as a feather, something being a lightweight. Light means seemingly insubstantial, lighthearted fare. Light means fun. And fun, mere lightness, is the prevailing heroic principle in Dunkey's videos, as well as the literal advantageous force in Animal Well. This resonance, to me, confirmed that Animal Well illuminates Dunkey and his overall ambitions and values, as much as Dunkey himself is responsible for bringing Animal Well the game to light for the world to see. Animal Well is doing very well. Long may people try to plummet steps, and long may Big Mode publish work like this. In many ways, as hopefully I've just proven or at least gestured towards, Animal Well is the gameplay realization of the critical dreams that have long animated Dunkey's videos and community. The triumph of wise simplicity, light, dumb, deep fun, animal mystery, true life. The triumph of all these things over the forces of, well, the useless, unnecessarily complex and overly signified excess of bloated AAA games that joylessly provide instruction and tedious dialogue options, rather than trusting the player to savor the thrill of discovery and vivid flatness. Animal Well, a 2D game, encourages us to look and see its world much more truly than do the more expensive, asset-riddled, pop-and-play 3D errand-running simulators that are steadily driving the so-called big publishers into the ground. Animal Well, like Dunkey, encourages us to see our own world in this true way too, alive to the happiness and challenge of a puzzling, dangerous, adorable reality, in which our clever pursuit of a good time can often, hopefully, save our skin.